2021 Board of Public Works and Safety meeting to order. It is approximately 9:04 a.m. Clerk Treasurer Porte with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Public comment. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak?
No public comment on social media either, Mayor.
Hearing none, we will move to Clerk Treasurer Parthune.
Okay, we have civil city claims in the amount of $1,033,224.07. Some items to highlight are June health insurance, June trash, and the 2020 GO bond payment.
I move we approve the civil city claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
We have payroll for May 28th in the amount of $439,104.19.
I move we approve the payroll.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
We have water claims in the amount of $323,208.77. We've got normal monthly transfers, a bond payment, health insurance, and in lieu of taxes in there as well.
Move we approve the water claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
And then finally, we have sewage claims in the amount of $525,488.29. I am going to less that amount by $215,757.40. There's a payment in there to H&G, which will be paid out of the RDC remediation bond. It was not supposed to come out of sewage. So that will be presented by Jerry Jackson later on in the meeting. So the amount that I will need approved at the Board of Works is $309,730.89. The claim shows on page, it's the third item on page 1 that we're going to take out.
And that's going to be paid by, who did you say?
Bond proceeds
Bond proceeds, okay.
for the RDC remediation.
Regarding Newport Landing.
Yeah, it's the Truesdale lift station.
So do I have a motion to approve the sewage Board of Works claims for $309,730.89?
$30.89.
I move we approve the sewage claims at that $309,730.89 amount.
Thank you.
I'll second that number.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion for the amount of $309,730.89.
Oh, jeez.
Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Department head reports, and before we begin, I do want to acknowledge the work that our city planner, Tom Casey, who has resigned over the weekend, just thanking him for his efforts, his commitment, his passion, and belief in what we're trying to do here in the city of LaPorte. He was a great team member and also became a personal friend, so he will be missed, and just want to acknowledge his efforts and thank him and wish him the best of luck in the future. With that, department head reports. I see Jeff Batchelor, Code Enforcement. And anybody can take their mics off while they speak at the mic.
Masks?
Masks, I'm sorry.
Good morning. Right now, we're at about 2,300 violations for the year. Last week, we took and walked Warden, Arlington, Albright, and Planet Streets. We also changed how we do a little bit of our legal. We added a new step in there. What we're doing now is if after I fine them and they don't take and pay their fine, they don't clean it up, to more be in line with the ordinance, we got an administrative law judge to go in front of the administrative law judge. And then if that doesn't work, then if they want to appeal it, then they can go in front of the regular judge. So it just kind of adds another step, but it also brings us in line with our ordinance that we have in place now.
So we weren't in compliance before?
It was just, we were skipping a step. You know, we just went right straight to the judge without going to the administrative law judge. So now, if somebody has a problem and they want to appeal our decision, they can appeal it. There's somebody to actually go to the judge and appeal it rather than, Nick,
Does
Yeah,
that make it more efficient?
It does make it more efficient. I think it's better both for the person receiving the fine. It's a little easier to get in front of the administrative law judge. Scheduling things with courts, I mean, they're doing everything over at the court. So it's just easier for Jeff to pursue these claims and for the individual to get a quicker resolution if they intend to appeal. We intend to have them up to monthly, but Jeff, I think right now you have very few that get appealed at this point. Is that right?
yeah, right now, I think we have two outstanding, because I've been more fining people, and then that's been working, so if that doesn't work, then we go to the next step.
The goal is not to have to go through this process, to informally resolve it. And what percentage of your matters are informally resolved? You go to
Yeah,
speak, hey.
I would say 85–90% of the stuff, because we've talked to them so many times before it actually gets to that step. Because I'm guessing we've talked to them 5 times at least. Then now we're gonna go to the administrative law judge and then make our presentation there, and then they'll make a determination. And then from there, if they wanted to appeal, then it would go to the regular judge.
So are you saying that out of, let's say, the 2,300 citations so far, 85% of them just get paid and taken care of without taking any additional steps?
Yeah,
Is
I'm
that-
just saying,
Or
even more so,
resolved.
of the 2,300 violations, I'm not saying they're all fines.
Oh, gotcha,
Because
okay.
a lot of
There's-
them are, we just go up to them, like, let's say they went to my house and I have debris all over the place. I go up and say, hey, Jeff, can you take and make sure that you clean this up? I'm gonna give you a week to do it. I'm gonna come back and check. When we come back, 85–90% of them
Oh,
already
okay,
cleaned it
okay.
up.
That's good to
kinda
hear.
what I'm
That's
talking about
nice.
there.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd also like to say and thank Jeff and the police department who sent, I believe, 10 officers plus a dog to Grove Street and Rush Street. Last Thursday, we knocked on their doors. We've had too many complaints. There are individuals in the homes that obviously don't want to live their life in the community by the law, and we are going to address it. Anything that we can do, and I've instructed Jeff, I want to condemn the houses, get the people out of there. They obviously can't follow the rules and the laws, and we're coming. As well, Brighton Street, it's Brighton, correct, with all the junk? No longer are we going to allow people just to dump their garbage in our community, and Brighton Street is full of garbage. We're working with the railroad and anybody else that can help remove an inventory of junk like I've never seen before that's built up over years. And we are addressing it, and Jeff has been very strong in that, so thank you.
Yeah, there's about 50 cars on this one little property, junk cars. It's been sitting there.
On a residential piece of
No,
property?
no, this is commercial.
Oh, okay.
Jeff does both commercial and
Okay.
residential. So what he just identified are issues at both of those types of properties.
What is the corner? It's Brighton and
Hines.
Hines. If you want to take a drive, you'll not miss it. Thank you.
I was going to just make a quick comment. Oh, you don't have to stay up there, but I was just going to comment that just over the last couple of weekends, having had a couple different kinds of opportunities to talk to just people in the community, friends, family, and whatnot, there's a definite recognition of the emphasis that, of course, the mayor, Mr. Batchelor and the, really all of our civil servants have placed on improving their properties and really addressing those issues and complaints, and, kind of hear from people that when they make the phone calls, like, there's something that happens about it very quickly, which, so, it's a cycle, right, that supports itself. So I really appreciate all the work, and, kind of ask everybody else in the community to continue to let, Mr. Batchelor and the city know of these issues out there.
It's good to-
Not to belabor the point, but Mr. Kozer, on that, we have landlords now that have had, Jeff has been on them. They're starting to sell their properties, and I think it's going right to what Mayor wants, is hopefully that gets to single-family people owning homes rather than not that we don't like landlords, but home ownership encourages better maintenance of properties, so hopefully we continue to do that.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you.
Mike Frey, Street Department.
Morning, everybody. We're gonna be out we're doing getting patching done, tree cutting this week, sweeping, and finish cleaning up downtown.
We're also transitioning Mike's role more into ownership of the process of paving. Mike has 40 years of experience with roads, construction, with NDOT. Who's the expert?
I am.
Mike is. So I want you to know we're moving that progress, and LaPorte will be in good hands because Mike's in charge of roads. Thank you. Mark Schreiber, Park Department.
Morning.
Morning.
Just wanted to bring up a great celebration we're going to have later today. We're going to be dedicating the tennis court renovations. We'll be out at Kessling Park at the Bill Reed Tennis Complex at 5 o'clock today. Hopefully the rain holds off, and we have a great celebration of what turned out to be a great project. And I want to thank our primary funder, which was the Healthcare Foundation of LaPorte, with additional funding from the Park Foundation, the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, Ken and Chris Morrill family, and LaPorte Tennis Association. We also had a patronicity campaign that did great. That's how we got the matching funds from the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. The project involved renovating all the courts out at Kessling. We redid 5 tennis courts, and then we converted one of the tennis courts into 4 dedicated pickleball courts. And for those that aren't aware, pickleball is this very hot up-and-coming sport enjoyed by seniors, but also now by middle-aged and younger. So it's really taking off. We also renovated a dilapidated court over in Rumley Park and built a new court in Alassie Park. And the reason we did that is we wanted to expand the option out there for others in the community to take up the game. And both of those are in our summer playground program parks, both Rumley and Alassie. So we'll be able to use the summer playground program to get the kids some tennis lessons, some free equipment, and get them playing a little bit more. So it's kind of exciting for us to be able to do that. And with that, our summer playground program started back today. We weren't able to do it last year, so we're really thrilled to be able to bring that back, where we go to 5 neighborhood parks and have activities for them 4 days out of a week. So summer's hopping, but we're really excited about the tennis court project wrapping up and having a great dedication today. So thank you.
And will we be keeping the basketball court at Rumley?
Yes, we repaved that last year when we did our tennis courts, and we're just working now to get the new basketball goals up and restriped. And we're actually working with an Eagle Scout candidate on getting some benches built out there. So project moving right along.
It is the best hoop court in the city of LaPorte.
You will be out on that court this summer. It'll be ready to roll here soon. We bought brand new basketball goals to put out there for the youth and the not-so-youth to enjoy. And we'll have those out there. We'll get those installed here in June and get it restriped, and everybody will be playing later this summer.
Thank you.
All right.
I just needed to let Assistant Chief Kelly Burke know from the fire department, like normally when we're playing basketball, he's usually getting our towels when we're sweaty, so you'll have a heads up there. Jen Knoll, Human Resources.
Morning. Just wanted to go over some of our job openings that we have. So we still have a part-time laborer for the street department as well as a full-time laborer position open. Tree crew, we have seasonal tree crew positions that we are hiring for at $15 an hour. The season would be July through October, just 3 days a week, so we're looking for 4 people to do that. We're willing to do the training. We still have a part-time civic labor position open. Seasonal parks positions are listed on the website, and then we also have a full-time park maintenance position open as well. So we're looking for qualified applicants for all of those openings. And those job postings can be found on the website as well as on Indeed. That's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beth West, Transport.
Good morning. Not a whole lot to report, just our numbers are in from May. We averaged about 108 riders. However, our numbers are going up. We had 155 riders yesterday alone, so things are moving upwards. We're averaging about 40 riders on Saturday. I know the mayor is wanting 100, but if we can do 155 from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., I think 40 is pretty good on Saturday from 9 to 2. We have applied for a $10,000 grant. We were nominated by the property manager at Cambridge Square Apartments for all the service that we've been doing for their individuals. They do offer a $10,000 grant to different providers, so she nominated us. So we'll hopefully hear something the end of this month if we were awarded it.
And then that would plan, those dollars would be used for the general fund for transport, or?
Yes, yes. That's the goal anyways, is to use it. I told them we would probably hopefully use it for salaries, so.
At least it's not restricted, it sounds like,
Right.
within
Yeah,
the
and
goal
we're
of
also-
transportation.
When we do grants, we have to make sure that they're not federal dollars, because then we can't apply for them since we're already federally funded. So I had talked to NERC and they're like, yeah, go for it. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're very excited.
Well done.
Thanks.
Because the city of LaPorte and Beth has done an amazing job, but the city still has to contribute about $150,000 towards the transportation or transport budget. But anytime we get grants, I would assume we'd have to probably, the feds would get half, or the state would get the half, and we'd get half of that because we share in the responsibilities.
We'll have to investigate that because this is the first time something like this has
Well,
happened.
good job.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
Jess Bruder, Communications.
Good morning. We are getting closer and closer on the website project. I anticipate that we will probably launch at the end of this month, so stay tuned for that. It's been a long road, so I'll be excited to finally have that complete. The Live in the Lake Life site has been updated courtesy of my fantastic intern, Taylor Drake. The events calendar is completely updated, so if you're looking for fun in the city of LaPorte this summer, you can find it on that site. And then I also want to remind everybody about our event on June 18th. It's the 50s Cruisin'. It'll be at Le Stitch, which is the corner of Lincoln Way and Monroe, from 6 to 10 p.m. It'll include a car show, live music, food, and a beer garden. So we hope to see lots of people there.
And the beer garden's actually pretty cool. Who will be here?
Burnham Brewing and Misbehavin' Meads out of Valpo. We hope to draw a pretty big crowd. So.
Awesome.
Ashley Knoll, Clerk Treasurer's Office. All right. Tim Werner, Water. So make
Thank
sure she
you.
was paying attention.
Thank you and good morning. I do want to announce to the public that our crews have finished up with our spring hydrant flushing last week with minimal problems there. This was the first year that we were able to gather residual pressures and flows out of all 1,100 hydrants in the system, which really helps us determine where broken valves are, places where mains need to be reinforced for fire flow. We'll also be, right now we're compiling that information we're going to share with the fire department. That way when they pull up to a fire, they know what hydrants, flow rates the hydrants are for some of their bigger trucks. So that's going to help out a lot.
Yeah.
Crews have also finished cleaning out the new well sites in Soldier Memorial Park. I want to thank the street department. They went in and did some tree removal for us. We're hoping to get, here in the next few weeks, get the 2 6-inch test wells drilled. That way we can do the 24-hour pump test, make sure we're not under the influence of any lake water in that area. So we're excited about that.
I think that should be a t-shirt real quick. Under the influence of lake water, Jess Bruder.
I like it.
Quick trademark that.
Yeah, hurry.
Then the water department crews will be starting the Fairfield Main project next week. We're gonna be running, currently there is no main between Hawthorne and Kenwood on Fairfield, so we're gonna run water main there, get some customers that are tapped off fire hydrants in that area, have their own water service, remove some common taps. A common tap is when there's two houses that are fed off the same water tap. They can have some flow and pressure issues, so that's something we're gonna address in that area. That also will help with fire flow protection for Riley School. Whenever we're in that area, if we open up a hydrant, their fire alarm goes off, which also tells us there's just not ample amount of water feeding that area. With it being so close to the Lake Street water plant, we feel this will really reinforce the fire protection for Riley School also. So this will be the first project starting off with our construction bond that we've been talking about for the last year, basically. So we're excited about that, and that work will be done in-house. That's all I have.
Quick question, speaking of hydrant water flow, are there any hydrants that the potential water flow, should there be a fire, are an issue, or do they all have enough pressure that we don't have to be concerned about that?
There is some hydrants around town that are fed off of 4-inch mains. Some of the fire trucks, it's not enough water to feed them. Some of the flow rates are 300, 400, 500 gallons a minute. We like to see them up 8 to 1,500 gallons a minute. I think their lateral truck pumps 2,400 gallons a minute or something like that. So it's an issue. It's an issue that we're addressing with the way that we did the hydrant flushing this year. We got a lot of useful information out of this. So that's something we're gonna take a look at and see where we can improve those.
Okay, and so in those areas where we've got hydrants that the flow's not that great, like the department knows kind of where those are so that you can kind of work around that? Should there be an issue there?
Yeah, done a great job over the last several years, especially sharing those, and we go out and test them also. But this information that Tim's talking about will just supplement what we already have, and it will be tremendous to have that. We're also going to share that information with ISO. We just recently, a couple weeks ago, they asked for an update. It's not their official review of the city, but every so often they will do an audit of us. They just did that, and having this in the works coming very quickly, I let them know that we will have that information to them. And that, in and of itself, that was one of our areas that we didn't get full credit for last time, is because we didn't have a complete water flow of the entire city. So ISO, again, is the insurance services office, and that's where the city's businesses and homeowners their insurances rates are determined by.
We're also working right now, we have a cartograph system, which is an OMS system. It lists all of our assets as a department, which hydrants are an asset. I'm in the process of sharing that information with the fire department. That way they can log into our cartograph system when they're en route to a fire. They can pull up the address. It'll show the hydrants in the area. They can click on the hydrant, see what those flows are instantly on their way there. That way, if there is a problem hydrant in the area, they're not wasting time on setting up on that hydrant. They can go ahead and move to a hydrant that has better flow. So it's going to benefit everybody.
Okay, that's impressive. And so those that have the low flow, we do have a plan to kind of work on addressing that?
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of that is on the 4-inch dead-end mains in certain areas. Yeah, that's going to be an ongoing project. We have a lot of 4-inch mains in the town, so that's something we are addressing.
Yeah,
right, thank you for
we're
going
very
over that.
aware of where those are at in the city, Mark. We try to stay away from that if we at all possible. We have to lay another 200 feet to get to a 10-inch main and stay away from that 4-inch main. Our officers on scene, especially the battalion chiefs and the captains, are pretty well aware of that. So they'll do a little bit extra work and time to get to that larger main, but it sure would be nice not to have to deal with that at all.
Okay.
And with the shared information through the cartograph, they'll be able to assess that situation before they even arrive on scene. As soon as they get the call, they're in the trucks heading out there, they can pull that information up, look. That way, they're not wasting valuable time.
Okay. Well, hopefully it's a problem we never have, but.
Exactly.
And
I
this
think,
is,
going
this
over
is
that.
also why we're having the uncomfortable conversation and reviewing our relationship with 39 North and the water supply that we've had with them. You know, as I've stated early on, under the current situation, I would not be interested in renewing that contract when it comes up in 2024 or 5. And hopefully, we'll be able to come to a new arrangement, a new relationship moving forward. I know that means Briarleaf and in that area could have a supply problem, but there are issues currently that have to be addressed, and we have to focus on supplying our current residents.
Yeah, one of the issues, they're under a 1,500 gallon a minute contract out there, and that's what the pumps and the stations are built for. The hydrants out there can throw anywhere from 11 to 1,200 gallons a minute out, one single hydrant. So the 1,500 gallons a minute, you also have to remember, that's normal usage, homeowners, businesses out there. So, the fire department can't pull that whole 1,500 gallons a minute. So, I mean, essentially, when the volunteer fire departments show up on site out there, there's a choice to make. You use one hydrant or you let the fire suppression system work. I mean, it is.
And Chief Snyder, from your perspective, if a business were to catch fire, the concern is?
Yeah, there's not ample water out there. By the time you get to the end of the line, especially out to Hampton, if you were to hook that, our minimum truck takes 1,500 gallons a minute. Would deplete the entire source out there. And sometimes Center Township has done some practices out there. They have diminished the entire supply to the hotel, to Briarleaf, to Portofino's, and the other businesses. I mean, so that's saying that you're going to save one business in lieu of everything else out there, and that's just not acceptable.
And that also causes concerns for the citizens in LaPorte. When we have a high flow event in that area, it really, the mains that feed the booster station come down Pine Lake Ave. So we get high velocities within those pipes, which cause dirty water, and everybody knows on Pine Lake Ave we have hotels and restaurants. So that's not good. So that's another reason why we're really pushing this. The citizens of LaPorte shouldn't have to deal with that for a system not being built correctly.
And our focus is to keep our residents safe.
So with if were there to be a high flow event in that 39 North area, and we're drawing, the full flow, then should there be something else happen that's along, those mains that run in that direction?
Yeah, it's not a big deal. We could have two events going on at the same time, one in LaPorte and one out there, and we have two 6 million gallon a day plants in LaPorte. So we can really push the water out here in town. The problem is going out 39 North, it's essentially a tree system, a dead end system. It's not looped in to be reinforced from other mains coming from other directions, where in town you have multiple mains that are looped in, so you can pull water from different areas up within the town or different water towers in the area. Out there, you're limited to the one supply that feeds the booster station.
And we can avoid the dead end mains.
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
all right. But still, kind of, Mayor, this is what we were kind of started talking about, but it does speak to the need to address overall the ability to do the right thing for, residents, obviously as a priority, but even those that attach to our services, so.
Or no longer attach them to our services moving forward.
Those are, I guess, choices people have to make, right?
Well, but that's when it seems like there's great incentive for the businesses out there to want to tie in and become part, within the city limits, because that's what you're saying is essentially you wouldn't be able to put out a fire out there.
Correct, yes.
They kind of cherry picked when they built that area. They were supposed to put in a larger main and a water tower. They went with a smaller main and no water tower. So it's a problem that they've created themselves out there, and now it's an issue.
Well, and I think, I oftentimes folks might think, people in the public might think that, and I probably think this way about a lot of things and probably thought this until we kind of have learned more about it, but it's not a binary decision of oh yeah, we've got great, now we've got great fire suppression support. There's a gradient to this, and clearly based upon, what we've been talking about, the level of support for that area, it's not as good as I'm sure any of the residents or business owners would want it to be. So it's on the low end of the scale.
Yes, sir.
So
I would much rather have the conversation about Briarleaf and those condos ahead of time than after the fact when somebody is injured, there's an issue. I'd rather much rather have the conversation now. So
Agreed.
we all know people that live there, and their safety is important. So, all right, Jerry Jackson, wastewater.
I just want to report our Lakeside project, they're hooking up the last house now, this week. The sewer out in the lake will be closed this week. They'll remove the manholes and fill the pipe with flowable fill. So that's a momentous day for me. We've been dealing with that for a long time. As part of that project, the associated lift station on Lane Street is rehabbed. That work they haven't really started on that work. That work will go on another month. But the bulk of all the houses will be hooked up, and the bulk of that project will be done. So, big deal. The other thing I'd report from the treatment plant, the solar field produced enough electricity for March, April, May. We had no energy costs on our NIPSCO bill. That's nice to see. The last couple years, NIPSCO has had distribution projects, and they've shut us on and off for kind of extended periods. So I haven't had a full year to really see how well we can manage the treatment plant load. So looking good so far.
That's awesome.
Nick Minnick, engineering.
Mark Schreiber and I have been working quite a bit on the Stone Lake Trail punch list, some things left to do, and Mark can kind of share more if he'd like to on that one. 18th Street Greenway, we're planning to have just an informal pre-construction meeting this week, which means Reith Riley's kind of ready to go, and I think they're gearing up to start that project within the next couple weeks. Which I think it's kind of nice that it happened either before students were in or right after, so now we can get it in, enjoy the summer, and have it ready for students next year as well. And then also just for the board, we do an annual ADA sidewalk program. We really have to address ADA complaints first. We've got about a dozen of them outstanding. Kind of looking at prices, we have a paving project that had really reasonable prices, our second paving project for sidewalk work, and again, Reith Riley had some availability. So I'm looking to do about 5 or 6 of those ADA complaints as a change order to that contract. I think it'll kind of speed things along, and we won't have to bid out a separate contract for about $25,000 worth of work. And that money is earmarked for that, and it wouldn't come from the paving. That would come from the ADA side. I think it'll, like I said, be a little more efficient, and being able to carry over those decent prices and the not knowing what we're going to get this year because we have been seeing higher is kind of to our benefit. So just wanted to let the board know that you'll see a couple of those sidewalk projects kicking off here too. They're not large projects, but they are important to address deficiencies in our sidewalk system.
And you may not mention it, so I'll mention also Nick's obviously priority is the corridor, the north-south corridor. And the key point is, we're looking at the future, not reacting, being proactive, and people can say what they want via social media and whatsoever. Nick Minnick is here. He's out on farmland, meeting with owners, walking through the corridors, options, talking with people, listening to the concerns, and he's accessible, available, and doing his job that I've instructed to say we have to look at something for the future. And so Nick is doing this from my lead. So it's not him on his own. We have to look at something. The city residents of LaPorte deserve to have a voice so that in 10 years, they're not sitting 2 and 3 cycles of lights in our downtown. We're looking to develop, and if people listen, they will see Nick is doing everything possible to limit the, what's the proper term?
We want to minimize impacts every chance we
yes.
get. We have impacts now, we'll continue to have impacts in the city. Those will only get worse and worse, and we don't want to just push those somewhere else. So we're really looking very closely, kind of making recommendation to Lockmueller's corridor to make sure that we're doing everything possible to minimize impacts. And again, the work that's been done is part of the NEPA process, where you really just identify kind of a wide swath of land and the impacts within there. But what's been done has not really focused on how do you then minimize those once you have that preferred alignment. So now we get to really listen to people and understand their concerns and start to address those concerns with kind of engineering design solutions and kind of some additional minor alterations to the corridor and things that, you know, can hopefully allow for this corridor, which is a huge impact on our community, in a positive way, to not negatively impact the people that it'll be adjacent to.
But there are current impacts to truck traffic pulling, driving into LaPorte on Indiana Avenue with our residents, homes that are shaking, listening to downtown with their business buildings shaking as the truck traffic is barreling down. So there are current impacts as well under the current situation.
Well, not to belabor the point, but so today I'm driving in, I'm coming down Pine Lake Avenue, pull over into the turn lane. There's one semi-trailer there. And again, nothing wrong with semi-trailers, right? They bring goods and services, or goods. And I just counted how many cars made it after the truck went through, and it was 4. So it's like, all right, when that's at, 8 a.m. this morning. So there is an impact. And before you kind of brought that up, I was going to ask you, like, rhetorical question. What's the zero impact option?
Yeah, so.
Zero one? There's not a zero impact.
Yeah,
There's always an impact somewhere.
Yeah.
And hopefully we lessen it and mitigate it. But even for the folks that might have an impact near their property, they'll have the positive impact of when they do drive into town, which I believe most of them probably do, right? And I've lived out in the county before. So it's, then you have the positive impact of, less traffic, easier parking, all those things that come. So it's, there's just nothing that's perfect. So.
Of all of the options, the largest impact would be figuring out how to handle future truck traffic on the existing corridors we have. That's a significant amount of relocations and acquisitions that would negatively impact not just the city of LaPorte, but the whole community by, just really deteriorating the infrastructure and ability for commerce and things that we have in place now. So.
I was impressed with Mr. Kosher's response. Hey, Amanda, did you see the guy with the long hair in that response? That's a good one.
Which part? Use of the word rhetorical? Or
Clerk Treasurer, any additional items for the Clerk Treasurer Department with all the upgraded technology that your team has done? Amazing.
Invoice Cloud is in, it's live. I think we haven't heard any negative at all. So we're just hoping to continue utilizing Jess Bruder to help us with engagement, make sure we continue to grow our numbers there on Invoice Cloud.
Chief Breton.
Good morning. Just a quick update on the 6 officers we had in FTO. 1 has been cleared for solo patrol. 4 more are within days of being solo patrol, so you'll notice a difference there. We have 1 that's entering the final stages of FTO. Just spoke with the officer that's at the academy today. He has 6 weeks to go. He's roaring to get back, can't wait to get back. And we did a conditional offer on an officer. We have him enrolled into the August academy. We have the pension meeting later this week on him. And the most exciting thing is we got another lateral. And Merit Commission meets today at 2 o'clock, and they'll probably offer him the position. He's passed his background. He came from Gary, and he said it was quite corrupt there. He couldn't wait to get out. He did 3.5 years in Gary, and he's looking to come this way. So we're excited about that. With these added officers, I'm going to add 1 to the Metro Drug Unit, and there'll be another detective that we desperately need. They've been working short, and with the body cams and everything else, they're just overwhelmed with that evidence collection and everything. So looking forward to it. They'll be 4th of July. They're all going to be out there, and they're pumped, ready to go.
Chief Snyder.
You see on the agenda in a few minutes, we'll be doing the swearing in for 4 of our firefighters, Jacob Cooney, Jacob Kazmerzak, Maxwell Fisher, and Sam Doig. 3 of those completed the academy here recently. 1 previous academy class, but due to COVID was not able to be sworn in at that time. So, and then just a little side note, as we're entering closer to the Independence Day holiday, if you've been outside over the last couple weekends, you probably noticed the fireworks already picking up. Just would like to impress upon the public to stay safe with it. We'll be putting out some guidance as to what is and is not legal, and we would hope that they will do their best to follow that. I know everybody wants to get out and about this year, but we want to make sure they do it safely, and we will be working with the police department and code enforcement to make sure that they adhere to the laws as best as possible.
So department heads, after the swearing in of the firefighters, if you do not have business before the board, you're welcome to go ahead and move on with your day. So with that, we will move forward with the swearing in of new firefighters. Chief Snyder.
I'll let you do it.
Well, if you want, I don't know if I've sworn in firefighters
Yeah,
before,
no, you're not.
in-house without
Normally-
COVID.
Yeah, normally this is part of the academy graduation ceremony, and we allow the mayor to do it. I'll do it if you would like.
No, I'm
I-
taking full advantage of it. I will have the board.
Now you opened it up there.
So I guess we'll have the new, would you like to introduce the officers first?
Yes. Like I mentioned, from the previous academy class was Jacob Cooney, and the three from this class are Maxwell Fisher, Jacob Kazmerzak, and Sam Doig. So, come on up, guys.
Boris, come on up around with me, if you will. Why don't you guys come around here and if you like us? Mark, would you like to come over here? So gentlemen, raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Jacob Cooney,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully support
that I will faithfully support
the Constitution, laws, and ordinances
the Constitution, laws, and ordinances
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the state of Indiana,
and the state of Indiana,
and execute the rules and regulations
and execute the rules and regulations
of the LaPorte Fire Department,
of the LaPorte Fire Department,
that I will discharge my duties
that I will discharge my duties
regardless of
regardless of
race, creed, color,
race, creed, color,
religion, sex, or national origin
religion, sex, or national origin
of the persons I serve,
of the persons I serve,
and obey all orders of my superior officers
and obey all orders of my superior officers
as a member of the LaPorte Fire Department,
as a member of the LaPorte Fire Department,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Can you get around for a photo? We have a guest here, by the way. Who would like to introduce the guest?
Oh, this is my fiance, Abigail Witt.
Abigail, congratulations. All right, gents, congratulations. Keep us safe. We know we'll see you on the 4th of July out doing something, right?
Congratulations.
Sir, recognize a couple of those names from, yeah.
So we'll move to request for use. We have the annual Rock the Park. Rob Saby for July 24th at Fox Park, band shelter, band shell. Do I have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I mistakenly put this as a request for use. It's really more for your information. They've already made all of their requests through the Park Department Board. So normally they would close streets, and I think that's where he put the request in because they used to request to close Truesdale. This year they are not making any requests to close streets. So this is really more for our information now.
We appreciate the firefighters' work. Don't miss it. July 24th.
It's really fun. It's a really
Great
fun
event.
Fun event.
Thank you. Next, Beacon Hospital, Friday morning 5Ks. And if you could state your name and where you're from for the record.
Good morning. I'm Debbie Malka from Beacon Medical Group. I'm the practice manager there. We are requesting to do a Beacon Fitness Fridays. It will be every Friday, June through August, 7 a.m. to 8:30. We're going to meet in the 10th Street parking lot, so we won't have any cars on the street, so we'll be able to house them all in our parking lot. We're going to head south on J Street, 1 block, turn right on K, and then head south on, turn right on 11th, and then head south on K Street, all the way down to where it dead ends at 23, and then come back. We're avoiding that heavily traveled corner. There's a resident there that I know won't appreciate it, so we're just gonna do a little block around, and it's less traveled. We have signs for every one of the cross streets. I know somebody suggested that we have somebody at 18th Street due to the heavy traffic, so we'll have a person there every Friday, making sure everybody gets across safe. I have waivers for them to sign. I have a registration. I'll be taking their cell phone, also an emergency contact for them. We'll make sure they start and finish the walk. If they can walk it once, it's 2 miles. If they want to go twice, then it'd be 4 miles. We're just trying to do more than just treat patients. We're trying to promote health too in the community, so.
And this is free to anybody in
Free to
the public?
Yeah, we're going to start advertising it if it's approved. I'm going to join with HealthLink a little bit. I know their activities coordinator, and they may do some volunteering with us too, but that way we can get it advertised a little bit more. I know they're out in the community. They said they would advertise for us, and we have flyers that we'll start putting out, and it's free to anyone.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion. Chief Breton, are you comfortable with this?
Yeah. Hey, Debbie.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Yes, no problem. I'll make sure the day shift knows too, so they'll be in the area.
And this will be every Friday.
Every Friday. We'll start this Friday.
Okay.
Further concerns, questions? I do have a motion and a second. Would like to say thank you for promoting health and fitness. I'm not sure if the Healthcare Foundation is interested in any support as well, providing that, but further questions? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Kiwanis Plaza, 618, 4th of July. May I just also once again thank, it says, I'm sorry.
It's June
Oh, it's,
19th.
No, we do have,
applications.
we have the application for July 4th from Kiwanis. This item right here, below.
Oh,
typed
sorry, I was
item.
looking
Okay,
at
okay.
that.
So, again, would like to thank Kiwanis for the opportunity to have the 4th of July and them basically taking ownership of it. This is something for the Plaza 618 for a kids corner. You can see the activities, face painting, balloon animals, and so forth. So, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, so Kiwanis will control that 618 Plaza for the 4th of July parade. They'll be setting up from 8 a.m. and then for the afternoon and then shutting down. And I think the only thing we want to make sure of, and I believe they're doing that, is that they will be cleaning up that day after the 4th of July. So, and that is the case. So with that, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. We also have a Rotary event at 618 Plaza. Competing nonprofits, we like this. This was June 19th from noon to 3:15 p.m., where Rotary will be offering ice cream, popsicles, and drawing a raffle for several items. And I think they will have speakers, and we'll use the outlet there. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Attorney Otis.
Yep. Got quite a few items, but should move through them pretty quickly this morning. The first item for consideration is the city of LaPorte has a lease agreement with Verizon. They place cell phone equipment on top of our water tower, a few of our water towers in the city. They're just changing out the equipment or replacing some of the equipment, and I'm sure as technology changes. And so they have to get our permission to do that. And I think Mr. Warner is fine with it. So I've reviewed the terms. I have no issues with it either. So I'd ask for the Board of Works approval.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Superintendent Warner, any comments?
No, I do want to remind the board, I asked for a post install inspection by a third party, just to make sure that the work is installed right, make sure there's no scrapes in the paint. 5 years ago, I think we painted that water tower, so I don't want any issues with that. So that is the one thing that I did request from Verizon was a post inspection after the equipment is installed. I also had Nice Engineering look at the loads that were being put on the water tower. It's actually lighter than the equipment that they're taking off, so that's good. So there's no issues there.
So, and they cover the cost of the post installation inspection? Okay.
Tim, did they indicate, is this for like 5G upgrades? I would assume that's what it was.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I have a motion and a second. Further questions? Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. The second item for the board's consideration is a resolution establishing electronic participation in your meetings. So prior to COVID, you had to be physically present as a board, city council, in order to participate in the meetings. As COVID came through, the governor issued an executive order allowing you to participate remotely, which I think worked out pretty well. The legislature, and that would expire, though, whenever the governor's executive order on this issue expired, which right now is the end of this month. The Indiana legislature acted as a result of that, seeing that there's some benefit to members participating electronically, but I think very clearly from reading the statute, the intention is that this is the exception, not the rule, that they want you here in person. And we adopted, I say we, the council adopted this same resolution last night. Mark being on the school board, I anticipate you may have a similar resolution at some point before the school board. A couple points to point out. Because you are only a 3-member board, you have to have a majority physically present. So, Mark, I know you travel for work sometimes. Just make sure that the other 2 people, we can't have 2 people participating remotely, for example. The other thing is, in order for you to vote if you are remote, we have to physically be able to see you, so you'd have to be on Zoom. So, and then there's a couple specific things to which you cannot participate remotely: approving a budget, reduction of personnel, initiate a referendum, impose fees, that type of thing. So my request is, if you do pass this, please let us know ahead of time so we can make sure there's nothing on your agenda that you can't vote on, for example. So,
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. And again, I know this is part of statute, but the people, the voters, deserve to see their elected officials in person. I always get concerned. I understand why we have to do this, but we would certainly want to make sure as much as possible that we're facing the public and our residents, same thing I've told our council, in person.
yeah, again, I think it's the exception, not the rule. I think you guys have a meeting always the first week in April. We have a lot of people that travel for spring break. That's a good example, an exception, not something that should be consistent.
Yeah, I think it's very reasonable, kind of, when I listen to listening to, I have to listen to this part maybe twice to kind of catch a lot of, just overall, but,
Yep.
but I think it does make sense, very logical. It's good to have the opportunity, again, like, whether it's business travel or, occasionally there's family things that come up that someone can't maybe make it, but to be able to occasionally be virtual, I think is a good idea.
All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. The third item for your consideration is the not employment contract, but the contract to retain the services of Attorney Mark Worthley for serving as the administrative law judge for these code enforcement hearings that Mr. Bassler touched on. The city already works with Mark Worthley. He serves as, he advises the Plan Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals. And this would just be an extension of that. Mark was already doing that when I became the city attorney. I've had good interactions with Mark in his role as the Plan Commission attorney. One of the things that when we were trying to find somebody to serve in this role, Mark has an office here in LaPorte and in Valparaiso and lives in Valparaiso, and we thought that somebody that didn't maybe wouldn't be appealing for representing somebody before this would be a good person to do this. So we've met with Mark, and he is willing to serve in this role. The statute, I think Ms. Romine asked some good questions. The statute allows, Indiana statute allows the Board of Works to hear these, for example. I don't think this is something that you guys want to be regularly doing during your board meetings. So the ordinance that the city created allows for an administrative law judge that is a lawyer. I think that's a really good thing because he will not only hold Jeff accountable to making sure he's followed all the steps, that the residents have had their opportunity to be heard, but it'll facilitate these moving quicker as well. So ask for that approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Would like to thank Mr. Otis and Mr. Batchelor for their work on this. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Kensington Development Agreement. And this is kind of an exciting, kind of really one of the last steps to get this project done. This is the parcel, I guess, on the northwest corner on Truesdale and
Yeah, east.
northeast corner of Pine Lake Ave. Yeah, on the east corner, southeast corner of Pine Lake and Truesdale, but on the northwest of the Newport development. So this has already been approved by the Redevelopment Commission and Kensington. Kensington is developing this for a grocer on that site, and this is, I believe, the last thing that needs to be approved, and it needs the mayor's signature, so we're asking for approval of that.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, and this is exciting stuff. This is a long effort, long work, but appreciate the partnership with Kensington and excited. So, further questions? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. I'll address the last one if that's all right, Attorney Otis. I have filed a disclosure, I think it is.
Conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest for obvious reasons. My son is working for a firm that has done work with the city of LaPorte and could potentially do work in the future. He will not be directly engaged or involved in that from their company perspective, but just so people know up front, and there people look for things. I've just filed this. So with that, do I have a motion to approve?
Do we approve these?
Yes.
They were just on file,
Well,
like public record.
let me take a look. I believe that this does get approved.
I would
You're
like
just
to have it
accepting
approved.
Yeah.
Oh, works.
Yeah, just accepting it. Because in the event, as I understand it right now, I don't believe we do any work with RQAW or don't have any current.
We've done in the past.
We have in the past, but
Yeah, we, finishing up the Lakeside Sewer
Lakeside,
project
yep.
with them.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
So do I have a motion?
Motion?
Yep.
I move we accept the conflict of interest disclosure.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Jerry Jackson.
I've got pay request number 1 for the Truesdale lift station project. That lift station will serve the banks, the Flaherty and Collins Apartments, and future developments.
Mr. Jackson, could I hold that because I should not have voted
Thank you, Mayor.
on that last? I apologize.
Show that it was 2-0 then.
So do we need to modify that in any specific way? Other
No,
than,
because the other two voted, so you just abstain.
so
We'll
I
show
will
that you-
abstain and that motion passed 2-0. Thank you. Mr. Jackson.
All right, the pay request is in the amount of $215,757.40. As our clerk treasurer noted, this comes out of a bond issue. The project is about 88% done, going well. Had hoped to be completed by this time, but equipment delays of delivery has slowed us down a little bit, but it'll be done in time to serve the apartments when the apartments need it. So I'd recommend approval of pay request number 1 to H&G Underground.
I'll make a motion that we approve the payment request.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Porta potty. Is that under,
Yeah, we have a
Permits.
waste hauler permit for Hunky Hale porta potty.
porta pots?
Porta pots. Hunky has been a long-term customer. They're changing their name. There may be an ownership change. I'm not sure.
There is.
There is. Okay. This is a kind of a routine thing. We issue permits so that they know the rules for discharge of the treatment plant. I'd recommend approval of the wastewater hauler permit.
Do I have a motion to approve the Hunky Hale porta pots?
Do we need to say that everything? No, just kidding.
He just likes to.
Yeah, I move we approve the Hunky Hale porta potty or pots.
Do I have a
Permit.
second?
I will second it.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes
The
3-0.
pleasant names for,
Yeah, for what it really is.
Yeah.
Nick Minnick, Schneider Phase, is it 2?
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
It looks
so,
like exclamation
yes.
points, yeah.
Phase
so
2
excited about it.
really just describes kind of another round of projects, one project in particular for our performance contract that Schneider mostly completed. That was the meter project, building energy retrofits, and the solar field project. This is a really nice way to do this, and this is an area that Schneider specializes. I know that we're looking into, different ways that what are they, FAR funds? Is that what they're? FRF? FRF funds.
I had to think for a second.
There's the recovery funds are to be used, and one project that we had identified as a potential would be the Civic Auditorium and doing some upgrades. It's been such a central hub during the whole pandemic, and making sure that we can continue to accommodate people there safely and provide for that facility is really important. So what this contract is it's the first phase of that project, and it's for Schneider Electric to go in and assess kind of the needs, figure out what HVAC upgrades really need to be done. They'll look at the roof, they'll look at other energy related projects, and they'll also look at ADA and other similar projects to really upgrade the Civic to where it needs to be and can be kind of that gem in the city for the long term. What's nice about this is, I mean, we don't pay for any of this unless we don't do the project. And if we don't do the project, the price for the contract is $9,800. So I would look for approval on this development agreement to further investigate and hopefully move into a construction phase on the Civic Auditorium should the council approve those funds for that use.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second in discussion, and as we've discussed the FRF funds, and we look at reducing COVID, which is one of the goals, the flow of COVID, which is one of the goals of this FRF bill, this gives us an opportunity in a much-needed area, which is air conditioning, which will help reduce the flow of potential COVID, plus a new roof. And with that, you know, if we're going to be a competitive venue to other communities, the current seating situation at the Civic, while nice, back in the 1950s and 60s and so forth, if you think about increasing the venue options in the city of LaPorte for ballet, concerts, and having an event, seating will be a necessity, and you can combine that with the new roof, air conditioning, to make the Civic Auditorium the place to be for events, as an event center for the next 100 years. So that is our goal. We think it's a proper use in the spirit of that bill, and hopefully have your approval.
So I love the idea because I think the Civic really is, I mean, it's obviously it's an old building, so it does need some of these renovations, upgrades. But I mean, it is a fantastic place for events and parties and concerts. So totally love the idea. So can you go over, like, so why would, if we don't choose to do the project, why would we owe them?
Yeah, so what's really nice about this from the city perspective, because I was actually making a list of, you know, projects I'm working on and trying to keep on top of things. We have so many things going on. We've already gone through the selection process for Schneider Electric. So we put out RFPs and we got proposals in and reviewed those and went through the legal process to hire them for this type of project. So this contract is essentially allowing them to, the next phase of projects, which we're really just looking at one. There were some other ones listed that this is really what we're focused on for their company. We can essentially turnkey it. So they will come in, they'll do the study, they'll assess, they'll make recommendations, and then we'll have a proposal and we can sign off on that proposal and, you know, make sure that we're comfortable with funding, and then they go in and do the work. So it's a really great process that's allowed by the state law for, there's about 3 or 4 different ways you can procure and complete a project for a municipality, and this is one of them.
Is it fair to say that they'll be doing some preparatory work to get ready for the project?
Correct.
If we choose then not to do the project, I mean, this is, to some degree, it's paying them for some of their time.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yep,
got it.
yep.
All right,
And if they do the project, I mean, this amount actually just rolls into the
okay.
project, so it's not.
Okay,
I mean,
thank you.
Yep.
Have we received those funds yet?
We've received half of them, the first half. We'll receive the next half in 12 months.
What's the dollar amount?
We don't know yet. So, I mean, the dollar amount on just, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I meant the dollar amount of what we've received,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
I can get you the exact dollar amount. It's a little over 5 million.
In total or the half?
The half.
So 10 million.
11.6, I think, is the final,
11, yeah.
roughly is 11.6.
Do we have any idea where this project might come in at? Like
and
what's budgeted for?
Yeah, and that's why we want to do this. Schneider did send with this just an example of a similar project they did in
St.
St.
Joe?
Joe, Missouri. And that budget was 1.2 million and included some of the features we're looking at. I didn't see the roof replacement on here, so they did have like a gym floor replacement and different things. So we're looking at, you know, it's not a small project. So we're looking
Right.
at probably
Under 4 million.
under 4 million, probably 2 to 4 million. would be the range for a project of this size.
I was looking at this proposal that they had done for the city of St. Joe, and they have an annual savings. Do they mean annual savings in electricity and NIPSCO bills and that type of thing? So there would be a rate of return on this, just in that
Yeah.
realm as well for the Civic.
Yeah, and so what they'll look at is, they can look at a range of things. So their contract
you.
is based on energy savings. So they actually guarantee a certain amount of energy savings for the building.
Really?
In addition to that, they can tie revenue. So with the meters, we weren't necessarily saving energy, but we were gaining additional revenue by having more efficient, proper updated meters. So, so they can look at a number of those things, and this is a guaranteed contract when it comes to those items.
Love that.
And the other part, this only works, and the Park Department understands this, Mark Schreiber and Brett Benversi, that we're rethinking how that office operates the Civic. This isn't just taking events that are coming in. It's actively promoting, and there better be revenue generated that will reflect the improvements that are made to the Civic. And so I actually have them working on a pro forma to say, based on these improvements, what does the Civic plan on generating revenue-wise? What type of expansive events, are we gonna have there? And generate how often? So
So they're coming up with a projection, and future projections based on this being in place, air conditioning being a huge deal through the summer months at the Civic.
we won't do these upgrades
If
with-
they can't.
just for status quo operation.
So we'll be determining whether or not we do this project based on what they come up with
Correct.
in conversations with them. Will they be making that presentation to the Board of Works?
Right now, they'll be making it to the mayor, but can be glad to have them once we get, the other part of this is the council, once we come up with some cost structure on these different projects, we want to meet with the council individually, meet with yourselves individually about what are your ideas that you want to spend these dollars on, and then also include the public in that process to say, hey, these are the project ideas that we have. So we don't
Much
have
like
to
the Park
spend this for
Department
4
did
million.
in Trails and,
We do not have to spend this, or I should say, 11.6 million tomorrow. We have up close to 4 years. Obviously, we want to move quickly, but we want to make sure we understand all sides of this, of these dollars and the entire opportunity, so.
Are there any limitations on these funds as far as what types of projects?
There are. It's water, sewer infrastructure, tourism, which is loosely defined, housing, childcare, mental health.
Pretty diverse.
Yeah.
Public buildings.
Yeah.
Public buildings, which this one falls under, and this also falls under a couple other categories.
when are they gonna start the scope, the inspection of the Civic if we sign this, if we approve it?
As soon as you sign it.
Got
So I
it.
do have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. USI Consultants.
At the last Board of Works meeting, you approved the 18th Street Greenway. We did have a little bit of extra budget in our grant, and obviously we want to keep a little cushion in case we run into anything during construction. But I was comfortable that there was enough to get some additional help. I have our technician kind of bouncing around to a lot of things, and during this period, we'll probably have some of Monroe Manor starting, which I'll have Kevin on as well. So I have an agreement for construction inspection. It's kind of makes it kind of efficient. USI Consultants has been doing some other projects for us, so they can do kind of part-time inspection of 18th Street and bounce around to some other projects and make sure that we're not being overbilled or overcharged and keeping all the numbers in check. So this agreement again is for construction inspection services for the 18th Street Greenway project. This is a healthcare funded project, and the contract amount is $10,000.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right, discussion. So who is doing the Greenway project?
Reith Riley Construction was awarded the Greenway project.
Okay. Further discussion?
No, I think it's a good point that you made that, in other words, we're hiring somebody so that we don't lose money.
And it's it's a not to exceed.
Yeah,
right?
it's hourly
So
not
it's
to
based
exceed.
upon what, the services that you need to kind of be efficient and
Yep.
move your technician to the right projects. Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
And again, I'm going to say I get nervous about this, that we're spending extra additional dollars for people to do the right thing, but just make sure that they are protecting the dollars. I get concerned about that, so, but,
Well, and I think the other thing that Nick is saying is that he and his assistant are kind of strapped with all the projects that are going on this summer, and so instead of hiring another city employee, you're outsourcing that.
Yeah, we found that different firms, we really love using local firms when we can and using, people that live in our community when we can. And different firms we've found have really areas of expertise that serve our community very well. They may have other expertise that serve another community very well too, in a whole different area. But we found that USI has done a really great job integrating into the engineering department, working with, planning department or whoever else, or park department, and just kind of being that presence, on construction projects. So it's kind of a nice extension of the team in a lot of cases, and very easy to work with. And I like to make sure that we're not just using one firm for everything, but at the same time, this is kind of a good, efficient way to do this project, I think.
And you're still coming in at budget,
Under budget.
under budget with this.
that's the key.
I know we've had USI come through for a variety of things already. Have they done this type of work for us before?
Yeah, so, and John Smith kind of leads their inspection team, and he's doing this for our community crossings projects. So it's kind of Reith Riley was our last contractor on community crossings, so it's kind of a nice kind of extension into that. Then he's also working with Jerry on Lakeside Sewer. So what's nice is, he can fill a day and work on 3 different projects. And some consultants may feel pressure to,
Show
bill
billable
out a
time.
day on one of those projects, but in this case, we're getting, coverage on 3 times the work and at a really good price. So
Yeah.
they're very fair, and we've really appreciated working with them.
And one of the things I've talked to Nick, Jerry, Tim about is basically lack of term, spreading the wealth, sharing with these different firms. I mean, we want to be loyal to those that are doing a good job, but also when you look at the other communities, how they give a little, you're not tied to one company, and you're getting fresh ideas, fresh looks from these different firms. So I've challenged the 3 of them to continue to experience new opportunities there. And so with that, any further discussion?
And I think, so even though they're not local per se here, but he's from,
Oh, no, they are.
Meter.
They have an
They have an
office
office.
right on
Oh,
Indian and Lincoln
okay.
Way. Yep,
okay, I didn't remember that, okay.
yep.
So with that, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. And third, Walsh and Kelly.
I'm gonna ask to hold off on this. I didn't get all the backup material that I wanted, so I'd like to, hold that off for the next meeting. We are in a little bit of a crunch in that I wanna make sure that we close that project out by July, so as long as we have it on the next meeting, I should be able to get all the documentation and get it closed out at that point.
And Nick, very brief, even though we'll close this out, we have federal dollar projects that'll be happening this summer, and then we'll also be applying, as we have generated more local dollars to match for community crossings to do work in the fall.
Correct, yeah. So this program was actually awarded to us at the end of 19, intended to be constructed in 20. So NDOT wants these closed out before, they give the next round of funding. 'Cause they want all your projects closed out in about a year. So we're still good. We'll get it in
Is
by
this the
July.
final pay, or would this be the
This will
final
be the
pay,
final
number
pay,
6? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking your time and making sure that they give you all the documentation to make sure it's appropriate.
So I want to remind everybody, and Nick has brought me up to speed on this, to reconstruct a road for a lane mile is $1 million. We generate $500,000 from the wheel tax. So calculate the math, seeing our roads, we're making progress. Our street department is looking at every option to help. But this is why we are challenging our vendors to come up with new ways for the future to help us pave roads. And we're challenging those vendors. It's not same old status quo. And so hopefully we'll be hearing more about that, where they're coming back to us with fresh ideas, new ideas, financing, or some way that our residents can see continual progress on pavement of our roads. So with that, we will move to unfinished business. I would like to say yesterday, Mr. Otis, was the official first day of the bar property that we've talked about being annexed into the city, the 215 acres.
Approximately, yep.
So they are now, and that is M1.
It's on south of Boyd Boulevard, right next to Jerry's plant. So it's all, currently all farmland, and obviously being annexed into the city, that's great for the city, but also makes the property significantly more marketable to developers because now it has all the utilities, or access to all the utilities.
Good neighbors.
Jerry will be available for any tours to the public of the new bar property. I would also like to say, and I don't know if we mentioned it at the last meeting, as we start preparing for budgets for next year, I'd like to remind the public, again, we mentioned it maybe here, but we have a human resources director that also does our IT. We have a engineer that also acts as our purchasing manager. We don't have an event planner. Jess Bruder is our communications director, doubles as that. And we have very young, talented, GIS experienced people, but we do not have a GIS person at the city full-time, which is needed. So when you hear the size of our growing community and how large our community is and how much revenue is generated, to not have those positions, think about that from a private business perspective, it's concerning. And I think eventually we will have to address these items for the future, as well as pay to compete with private business to keep the quality people that we have here working for the city of LaPorte, because people shouldn't take for granted clean water, wastewater, until the quality people, educated people that we have leave for private business, because these three individuals right here could be close to doubling their wage somewhere privately, but they have a commitment to LaPorte. So everybody can say, oh, government, you pay them too much. Well, we don't. And we have to begin addressing not only people like the three we have here, Courtney Parthune, a clerk treasurer. I mean, don't pay me anything more, but you want to keep quality people like even the four sitting here and get future people to want to run for office, you have to pay a competitive wage. And we're way behind. We've got work to do. We lose 25% of the property tax cap money to our budget, and I'll be glad to answer questions. The public can call me on this, 363-7293. But I know, law enforcement, water, sewer, clerk treasurer, and all the team members, park department, and streets. We're paying, in some instances, under $15 an hour. People love our parks. We have to take care of them. These people need to be compensated somewhat competitively. That can't happen overnight, but has to be addressed. So when the public hears this, it's easy to say government growing or, shame on government. We are being responsible, but we don't want to lose the quality services that we provide. So I just want to remind everybody with that. Further questions? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We are adjourned.